Admiral, welcome.
It's great to be here.
So you took over as the head of the Pacific Fleet last year. This is kind of a perilous time. We're seeing a lot of activity in the South China Sea. Even we've seen ships from San Diego going to the South China Sea. How perilous is this? How concerned should we be about this situation?
I think what's critical is the sense of uncertainty in the region right now. Before I was the Pacific Fleet Commander, I was the 7th Fleet Commander, so I've seen kind of this arc of angst and uncertainty. But having said that, the Pacific has always been a place where there's challenges. Certainly we saw that in World War II, conflicts since then. But shortly after World War II, there was several conventions that were held globally, one that focused on the Pacific in San Francisco, that set out a series of norms, standards, rules, and laws that governed how we resolve these friction points. And that has helped buoy the prosperity the region has enjoyed for the last 70 years.
Just to kind of back up, to kind of outline what we're talking about here, South China Sea, the Chinese have been building up a series of islands out there. The U.S. has become increasingly concerned. What exactly is the concern?
The U.S. position is that we should resolve those differences through dialogue and discussion, not the use of coercion. I think going back to a sense of an approach of might makes right would not be good for the theater. I think that's why we see some of the uncertainty now.
And do you think that's what's happening here? Do you think the Chinese are trying to disrupt international shipping? And that's what the U.S. is trying to avoid.
I think it's difficult to say. That's where the uncertainty comes from. But the lack of transparency, the lack of understanding of what the intention is, not just of China, but other countries as well.
So I mentioned that San Diego was involved in this. This is actually kind of part of one of your plans. This ship remained part of the 3rd Fleet when they were in the South China Sea.
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah, you're referring to the USS Decatur and the recent freedom of navigation operation that we conducted in the South China Sea.
But normally the situation would be that once that ship left San Diego, it would be part of the 7th Fleet when it was in the Pacific. But this is a big change.
But I didn't understand the allegiance that we placed in the international date line as a point of transfer from 3rd Fleet to 7th Fleet. And in fact, Decatur's operation is the first time that a 3rd Fleet commander has commanded a ship in the Western Pacific since Admiral Halsey was the commander of 3rd Fleet. So this is really about making it clear that the power of Pacific Fleet is made up of both 7th Fleet and 3rd Fleet.
I wanted to ask kind of a sailor's question. This has come up a few times. The Navy is changing the way it handles its ranking structure. They're getting rid of some of the old titles like bosun's mate and gunner's mate, which it caused, this happened September 29th, this has caused a lot of consternation among sailors. They don't like that these old rank structures are going away. What's your take?
Well, my sense is that any time that change is instituted and there's not a clear understanding of what the intent is behind that change, there's a sense of angst that comes from it, which is, I mean, we were just talking about the South China Sea. I think it's the same thing. I think what we owe sailors is clarity of what these changes mean. It's a phased approach. Really, the first phase is announcing what the intent is. It aligns us with other services. The sense is it will help sailors transition when they go to the civilian sector. But what's most important is that we honor sailors for being sailors.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to have to end it there. But Admiral Swift, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you very much for your time. And it's great to be back in San Diego and great to be back at San Diego State.